We drink tequila. We talk.
Welcome to Team Tequila Talks.
Talks.
I'll put the pronunciation on there.
Okay. Well, let's cheers. What do you have your hand?
I was going to pour some orange juice in. Well, let's taste it straight.
Taste it straight. Okay, listen. We're going to do a little taster here. You get started.
Definitely fruity.
Yeah,
To me.
it is fruity.
Very fruity. It's not smoky at all. It tastes like a Blanco almost.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's very light.
It's very light.
Well, everybody, welcome to Team Tequila Talks. Your host, Cassandra Ginamel and Sharian Gonzalez.
Carry on.
I said, my voice is gone. I said Sharian, but my voice is on the mend. I think I mentioned this last episode, and I thought that I was better, and then it came back for round two.
Famous last
There's
word.
a throat virus going around. But you know what? I have to say, I am feeling great now. I know I don't sound great, but do you ever wake up after you're sick and you just feel like a superhero because you rested a bunch?
It's the best
And you
sleep.
hydrated and you put in all your supplements. Like, I woke up today like Mrs. Incredible, just ready to go for the day. I was ready to go, and I was up early, and I even did a morning yoga, which, you know, morning workouts are not
that's
my
nice.
thing.
Oh, you were feeling it. You were
I was
feeling
feeling
real
it.
good.
I was feeling it. So we are, I guess, are still on a mezcal kick, which
We are.
that's okay.
It's not a bad thing.
This is, we're going with the flow. This is
Yeah.
our seasonal thing right now.
It is.
Not that mezcal's seasonal, but this is just our season.
It's
our mezcal
We're
season.
in the season of mezcal.
This is the Team Tequila Talk season of mezcal.
Yes.
So we're drinking our U-Ball or U-Ball.
She made that
We are
up. We don't know if it's
disagreeing
you.
with how to say this.
You know what? I'm gonna look it up.
You should look it up. You
I'm
should
gonna
look it up. And we are going to have our very fun and special guest, Jenna Duddleston from fellow podcast Bar Talks. And she is a bartender based out of Chicago and crossover from the sports world and the bar world. And if you have not already checked out Bar Talks on the Believe Network, please do. She's got some fun stories. And until then, we have cheersed with our straight mezcal until we are going to be making our cocktail. And we're drinking our U-Ball or U-Ball.
Okay, I have it here. I have it here.
Are you going to play it?
I'm gonna play it.
All
Let's
right.
see here.
Wouldn't be an episode if
Yeah.
we didn't Google something. Did you bring her off?
Either bell
Bayall.
or
Bay-
bow. Bell.
Bell.
Bayall. You-
Bill.
Pretty
Oh.
straightforward.
Maybe we just need to have a rep from this brand on and actually educate us. We never pretend to know
Ooh.
everything here
I
at
mean,
Team Tequila Talks.
It's interesting because it's pronounced in different languages. That was the like
Oh,
other.
well, we went
language.
Spanish.
Okay, hold on. How to pronounce U-ball in Spanish?
Okay, great. So we are not the first people that have asked this question.
No, because I'm pretty sure people get it wrong. Oh, here we go.
We're getting it wrong right now.
I know, but we might have gotten it right.
Yuval.
Yuval.
Say it again.
Yuval.
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 Yuval. Yuval. Yuval.
Not you.
Yuval.
British person.
Yes. Yuval.
Yuval.
I don't know. There's two U's. I
I
just want to
know.
pronounce both of them.
Yuval.
Well, anyway, we have our Yuval
Yuval.
mezcal, which is actually pretty tasty. It's nice and light. It's very, very light. I think it's very mixable, but also very sippable.
Yes, but if you like a smokier mezcal, this is not for you.
Yeah, this is a very, very light mezcal.
Very light. It's for the newbies. If you don't like mezcal,
don't
but
mind
you
it.
want to dabble, this is a great.
I would buy another bottle of this.
Totally. It's a
Okay.
great mixer.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about on today's episode is we are making an orange mezcal Rita with our friend Jenna. And I just wanted to talk about the importance of using fresh juice because there's a huge difference between getting something from concentrate or something that has been bottled and processed and getting something that is cold pressed or freshly squeezed. Now, this is top of mind for me because I was recently sick. And do you remember all the old wives' tales that were based in good intention, but totally not true? Like what your parents told you when you were a kid. For example, drink ginger ale if you have a stomach ache, but then they didn't, they gave you like Seagrams,
Right.
right?
35 grams of carbs and sugar.
Or yogurt has probiotics. So if you have a stomach bug, you should have yogurt, but then they give you Yoplait, which is doused in sugar.
With strawberry.
Or
yeah.
saltine crackers, which
Yeah.
are just processed with iodized, not even sea
But I have to
salt.
say, my hippie crackers, when I was sick, I had the same thing Cassandra had a couple weeks ago. I'm not saying I gave it
But
to you.
I'm
'cause
saying
that
there's a
was
difference
while ago.
between the traditional old school saltines.
It is.
Because the crackers that
It
you
is.
and I buy are
They're not. But I had the hippie and I could barely taste. And so I had my husband go out and buy me like saltine. I think I was just craving salt.
Yeah.
So
Well, because
full
you need
disclosure,
electrolytes. when you're
yes,
sick.
I did. And I did eat the regular OG saltines. And I was like, oh, there's a chicken breast.
When I'm sick, I always dream about desserts, which
that
I
makes
found out when I
sense.
was pregnant. That is means you need magnesium, which I that happens to me frequently
Not
because I
sugars?
don't absorb magnesium, especially chocolate, especially dreaming of chocolate or cravings for chocolate
Yeah.
or magnesium. And I don't absorb magnesium properly. So it makes sense that I am inclined to have those dreams, especially if my body is in need. You got to listen to your body. Right?
Oh, it's true. I thought it just meant lady times when I'm like
Well, it can,
dreaming.
but during your lady time, you actually need extra magnesium.
No, that makes
and
sense.
that helps with cramps. Magnesium citrate specifically, I believe.
I take CalMag potassium every day. It's
Well,
just you
yeah.
can't go wrong with those
You
three.
cannot. So, I mean, you don't want to overdo those because then it can mess with your ticker.
Yeah,
But if you're just doing sort of like a low dose,
it's
just
a
get
low
your basic
dose every
electrolytes.
night. Yeah, because my potassium tends to be a little low.
So the important thing that I'm getting to though is you always heard to drink orange juice if you were coming down with something or if you were recovering from something, especially as it pertains to cold and flu.
Yeah.
Now, where this is coming from back in the day, and by back in the day, I mean, 100 years ago, what doctors were really advising is that you get your vitamin C, among other vitamins that are in oranges.
Yeah.
And that is really, really important. But you're only really going to get that vitamin C from the tree into your body if you are minimally processing your citrus. I have an orange tree, and a lot of times, assuming it's in season, I just pick the oranges from the front yard. Now, if you don't live somewhere with oranges, that's just fine. But oranges actually last a little while. So they're a good thing to just pick up a few when you're at the grocery store every few weeks.
It's true.
You can also freeze oranges if you peel them and just have them in your freezer, and you can blend them and toss in, maybe if you're feeling under the weather, some no sugar added yogurt and kind of have like an orange creamsicle smoothie. And you're still getting all that vitamin C. But there's a lot of people that say, well, how come I can't just pick up a naked juice? Right?
Well, there's a ton of reasons why you can't pick up although when I was in college, I downed naked juices.
That's because you had that college metabolism.
I know, and I thought, oh, look at me. I'm forgoing lunch. I'm having a naked juice, strawberry, banana, cream, whatever. It's literally you're eating 2 Snicker bars, and it's 2 servings per one. And it says 28 or 32 grams plus 28 added sugar. And if you double that, you're having like 2 Snickers bars.
It is all sugar, and all of the micronutrients and your vitamins have all evaporated. Because what they do when they make a naked juice is they do start with whole fruit.
Yes.
But because they want it to last like 6 months on the shelf, what they do is they take that fruit, they boil it down into a syrup. So anytime you see the words from concentrate, you kind of want to steer clear. Now, I will say that if you are trying to choose a juice or a snack when you're in a limited capacity and your options are cane sugar or fruit from concentrate, you clearly want to choose fruit from concentrate.
Yes.
But when you're sick and you really need nutrients, you need to make sure that you are consuming produce that still has the nutrients intact.
Yes.
And when you boil down fruits and vegetables into a concentrate, all of the nutrients evaporate and all you're left with is a syrup.
You're basically drinking like a version of high fructose corn syrup.
That's correct.
It's not exactly it, but it's kind of derivative.
It is a fructose syrup.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they just repopulate it. That might not be the right word, but they take it from concentrate. They add water to it to make it that juice again. Yeah. And then what they do is they add fake minerals and fake vitamins to make up for the ones that are no longer there, but they're not as readily absorbent. Absorbent. They're not as readily absorbed or absorbent. And the reason that is, I'm going to break it down this way. If you read a label and it says vitamin C from absorbic acid, that is a derivative of vitamin C. that is not vitamin C. That is not a whole food nutrient.
No.
And it's not going to help your immune system.
No.
It's not going to help your immune system. You don't need absorbic acid. You need nature's medicine. You need vitamin C.
That's what,
So you can get your oranges, and oranges are so juicy. You don't even need a juicer. You just squeeze them.
Are you kidding me?
Bite
The other
into
day,
it.
I ate a half of a grapefruit that I let ripe, which they can be a little bitter if it's your thing, but it was so juicy that it was so cold. I let it ripe and then I put it in the fridge for like 6 hours. And it was so juicy and cold because I was like, you know what? Cassandra's been sick. I stayed night at her house. I don't want to get sick again. My doctor told me I couldn't possibly get sick, but we all know sometimes doctors don't know everything.
They do their best.
They do their best, but I'm not sick. Feel great.
Love it. So you want to avoid, that's what happens when it's concentrate. Concentrate is just sugar. That's all that means. It is a natural sugar technically, but it is processed. So we want to try to avoid it. It's not on the total no-fly zone, but we want to try to avoid it as much as possible. The next thing that you're going to see with juices is they love to put not from concentrate on the labels. But if they're heating the produce and then processing it, they're still killing all the nutrients. So you look at something, some of these juice bottles that say not from concentrate, but they also have a shelf life of 4 or 5 months. And then what they're doing to extend that shelf life is adding additives and preservatives. That's not a ton better. Yeah. Because you're still not getting nutrients out of it.
It's true. And if you're not a juicer, I'm not a juicer. It takes too much patience, too much vegetables.
Kind of messy sometimes.
Kind of messy. And I think it's big and it takes space on the counter. I'm not into it. But find a local juicery that bottles their own stuff. It doesn't last forever in the fridge, 5 to 7 days. But to me,
maybe a week.
That's the difference between going to a grocery store and buying. Now, some grocery
stores have juice bars these days.
That's
actually,
true, like
most of them do. Yeah,
I would rather get it there than like say, "Oh, I'm sick. I'm gonna get a week's worth of this naked and whatever other juice they have now." And I just feel like Suja. I do like Suja though. I know they're shelved. They don't. What do? They don't heat it.
They cold press. They're cold pressed, right?
Yeah.
So that's a better option. And if you listen, I like to always have some citrus, grapefruit, orange juice. All of that is going to be great for the immune system if eaten whole or freshly squeezed, meaning you squeezed it yourself. But if that's just not an option for you, listen, when you're sick, you might not feel like getting up and juicing an orange. So just eat it. If you are sick, you don't want to get up and go find a juicery. But you know what? Rest. And then when you're recovering, or if you're coming down with something, try to nip it in the bud. And on your way home, make a stop at the grocery store and just either get some oranges or ask your grocer if they will freshly squeeze them for you. And that'll be good for a few days. Yeah.
Uber Eats or DoorDash. I mean, you're going to pay a premium.
Instacart.
Instacart. But
when you're sick, you'll pay that premium.
You will. Or if you have a good friend, we all have one good friend at least, hopefully. You can be like, "Hey girl, I'm sick," or "Hey man, I'm sick. Hook me up."
There's your faith in humanity.
I know. One good friend. We all have one good friend.
All right. Well, we are about to welcome our guest, Jenna Duddleston, and she is coming in right now. And we are going to dive a little bit deeper on this Mezcal Orangarita.
Yum. No, it's is it
Orange Margarita? We're about to find out.
Mezcal Rita.
Check your labels. Get fresh oranges, pop them in the freezer, do what works for you, but eat smarter, not harder.
Ooh,
is that a thing?
I like that to be a mug.
All right.
Hello.
Hi. And we have Jenna Duddleston joining us. We are going to be making a Mezcal Orangarita. I think that's what you called it, right?
Mezcal Rita?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mezcal Rita, an orange Mezcal Rita.
So we have Jenna joining us from Bar Talk. You might have heard her podcast, and we're excited to chat with her because we want to know all of the bar stories. Some of the most interesting stories. Have you ever gone home with a patron or started a relationship with a patron? What is the most obnoxious thing a patron has done? How do you win a bartender's favor? And all of that good stuff. But before we get to that, you'll have to excuse my very raspy voice because I was sick last week and my voice was just down for the count. So the fact that I even have
I know. Yesterday she called me and she was like, "Hello." And I was like, "How are we going to do a podcast and you can't even talk?" I'm like, "You're on vocal rest like a Broadway star."
I did. And I had a lot of lemon tea, some Manuka honey, and I'm at least partly back. But we've got our Mezcal Orangarita. And Jenna, why don't you walk us through why you chose this and how we make it? We got a little bit of a head start on our juicing and our shaking over here.
I love it. So, one of the I still bartend, so I should say that. Like, besides being like a full-time podcaster, I still bartend because I feel like I'd be a fraud if I didn't bartend still. And one of the last events I worked is like this huge country music festival in Chicago, and it's like on site. It's at like a giant parking lot, and basically this woman was like, "I want something with mezcal, but I don't want it to have those like super earthy tones like mezcal normally does." And so I was like, "Okay, I think I have an idea. Go with me here." And I was like, "Taste it. If you like fucking hate it, I'll throw it overboard. I don't care." And she made it, and she's like, "This is the best thing I've ever had in my life." So to Natalie, I believe her name was, thank you for being the inspiration for this cocktail.
Shout out to Natalie. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of bartenders. If you get experimental and you don't like it, don't be afraid to send the drink.
Oh my
back.
God. Tell me, I would rather you drink something that you enjoy compared to something that you hate, like, and I want you to enjoy your experience.
Right. So you're not one of those bartenders who get really pissed, because I've had my fair share of bartenders at different restaurants and resorts. And some bartenders get really pissed when you send it back. It's like equivalent to a chef in a kitchen. But I feel like if it's not what I asked for, or you put a spin on what I asked for, then, and if it's not a good spin, then I send it back.
Got to be open to
Then
that
it's not-
feedback. I mean, I think that's an
Yeah.
insecurity thing. Like I tried this, I didn't know if it worked, and you only get offended if you're insecure about it, right? Like
I was gonna say that it's totally an insecurity thing. I also think it's a small dick thing.
Ooh.
So
Women can have
No, it's-
penises too, guys. I mean, in the metaphorical sense, like, you ever heard that saying that's where women are like, she put your dick away? When a woman's
Yeah.
like, I guess it's not sexist in a way. I guess some people can interpret it. I don't. Look, this is a fun podcast. We're not getting into all that. But I do think when women are like CEOs or executive, they call it micro penises. And they say
Oh,
that
yeah.
sometimes women can grow, like your little clit kind of grows a little longer.
I was gonna say big energy.
Big clit energy. I like micro penis because you don't have a penis.
But have you ever
Don't-
seen a micro penis?
No, thank God. Don't want to do it.
Okay, talk to us about this cocktail,
Yes.
Jen.
Okay, so basically we're gonna build everything into a shaker. You're gonna do 3/4 ounce orange juice. And again, my biggest thing when you guys are making cocktails for anyone, less is always more. Don't always overdo it. Make it balanced. There's a way to do it and do it well. You're gonna do 3/4 ounce lime juice. So you're gonna
Check.
do 3/4 ounce lime, orange juice, simple syrup. Okay. And again, these are like, simple syrup is something that like everyone should keep in their house. Can you make it? Yeah. But like, do you want to? No, just buy it. Like,
So it's interesting that you say that about simple syrup, because we actually don't keep simple syrup in the bar.
really?
So we're actually making one little substitution on your recipe.
We're those girls.
We are those
Okay.
girls.
That's
we have
okay.
got some organic blue agave.
Okay. Or agave. Like,
Yeah.
if you're, because again, you guys are my tequila lady. So like
right.
agave simple syrup, to me, it's like kind of similar, but like it's something that you should always have like in your at-home bar. This tequila is Diaz Brothers Agave Tequila. It's based here in Chicago. I'm a big fan of their mezcal because it's not like, you've had those mezcals where you're like, I'm drinking dirt. And that's not really enjoyable, but it's something that like, I like the flavors and the aroma of it. And I just think they do a really good job. You're going to add some ice.
Have we added
Okay,
our
just-
tequila?
We are ready to go.
And we've added our ice. Okay,
Okay.
we're ready to shake. Okay.
We're ready to shake.
Where's the top?
Okay.
Don't
Yes,
shake.
I've
the
already
top.
shaked.
Don't shake. Oh, you shook.
I've already shook it.
I've already
Okay.
shooken it.
I'm
Okay.
shaking it. I'm shaking it.
Okay. And then you're just going to shake it for like 15 seconds.
Did you
Just
get the whole
the-
15 seconds, Sherry?
You know, I need like 30 seconds. I overdo it.
Sherry likes to work on those, calorie burning too.
exactly.
Oh yeah. It's perfect. And then we're going to do what we call a dirty dump, basically
Ooh.
meaning you take everything in here and you're going to pour it straight into your glass. Okay.
I like that.
Got it. Well, we're splitting
Dirty
between
dump.
two. So,
There we go.
okay.
If you have a little bit more ice, you can top her off. And then I always say everyone should have the canned club soda LaCroix at home.
So another modification, we have canned
Yes.
club soda, but these are Splendrift, because here at Team Tequila Talks, we are nutrition geeks. So
I love it.
the great thing about Splendrift is the ingredients are just carbonated water and juice, no artificial flavors, no
Ooh.
quote unquote natural flavors. So it's just sort of like as an elevated LaCroix, if you will.
Elevated LaCroix. Hell yeah. Again, do what you like, do what you have. There's no like right or wrong way. Like I always say, like use the supplies in your house. And then because we always like a little bit of a decor, and because of my background working in the restaurant industry for as long as I have, I learned that you eat and drink with your eyes before it actually touches your mouth. So definitely have some cute little garnishes, just like an orange peel.
Make it
do
pretty.
a little bit of a make it pretty. And then that's what we got, guys.
Oh,
so
look,
cheers.
We look the same.
cheers.
We're twinning. Cheers.
Yeah, love that. Cheers.
Mm.
Oh, that's very tasty.
Very tasty. The
So-
mezcal is tucked underneath the citrus, which but I did a little extra than what you called for, being that we are tequila connoisseurs. We like to taste our spirit a little more forward.
You did 2 ounces, didn't you?
I also love the tahini rim because I'm from Texas and we're in California now, but and tahini is in California, but I feel like it's everywhere in Texas. And I think it's so underrated. It's such a fun thing to put on your glass. And like a lot of people outside of these border states, you say, give me some tahini on the rim. And they're like, oh, what?
So it's not very popular in Chicago yet. And I'm like making it a mission to be. And it was a friend of mine who she actually put it on her. Did she put it in like a White Claw? And I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like it was something really strange. But then I was like, I need to have this in my house. So then I just started experimenting with it and just different margarita drinks. And I prefer the tahini rim over a salted rim because it adds that nice little bit of a flavor. And again, it's something so small that like you can do and you can have in your home. So like have the tahini, guys.
Yeah, when I do mezcal, I tend to do a tahini rim, not a salt rim. I feel like the salt is too aggressive for mezcal. That's just my own personal preference when I drink mezcals. I don't love a salt rim on mezcals.
Not really. Yeah, I think the salt and mezcals can really hit you in the face sometimes. And if you're in the mood and you want that, great. But when you pair that with salt, it can just sort of be a bit much. You were just talking about balance, and those don't really balance each other out to me. Tequila is a different story.
Yeah,
because
like
softer.
a blanco. Yeah. We're drinking really quick mezcal U-Ball.
You
Ball. It's Joven Espadín, and it's 100% owned Mexican brand, Oaxacan. This is their excellent for all occasions mezcal. They have about 4 different labels, and I love that because I'm like, you know what? It's not super top shelf where you're like breaking the goods to mix it, but it's actually very nice, and they really make it for appetizers and mains. So this is the equivalent to their like Italian white table wine, but it's the Mexican table mezcal.
It's solid. I think it's soft. I think it mixes great. As we learned from our science experiment a few episodes ago, sometimes you can taste a mezcal as is and it tastes one way, and then you mix it with citrus and it completely changes the flavor profile. And I don't think that any other liquor changes that much.
No, not vodka.
No, I was going to say I'm a big, I have recently, probably within the last few years, really have gotten into tequila, but I'm a bourbon girl. And that's like when you have a really good bourbon, they say like, drink it as is, like either drink it on the rocks. You don't want to spoil it by adding all these flavors. And the same can go for tequila. But it's something that like, I remember the first time I was like, what do you mean you're going to drink tequila neat or tequila on the rocks? And they're like, no, and then they explained it to me and I was like, oh my God, it's just like bourbon, but it's just a little different, but it still gets the job done.
I will say that when I was in Chicago, and you spend a lot of time in Chicago too, it's really hard to find a good margarita. And I thought, because there's amazing restaurants in Chicago.
Yeah, and bars.
Yeah, I like Chicago. My family's from Chicago. Your family's from Chicago.
Yeah.
So, we spend time there, and I love a steakhouse with an awesome old fashioned or Manhattan. I think that's how you know a steakhouse is great. But I remember walking around trying to find an awesome blow my mind tequila beverage. Couldn't find it. So I'll settle for a margarita. And it was really difficult to find in Chicago.
I'm going to believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, did you stay downtown?
So yes and no, I have stayed downtown, but we also have stayed in the Loop. We love the Soho House. So
Okay.
Well, that's in like
So
the
like
South
West
Loop.
Loop area.
West
West
Loop,
Loop
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to say next time you go, you need to go to Pilsen and you need to go down 18th Street because I swear to God, it's like the best food, best margaritas, best beverages. And that's like the predominantly like Hispanic area of the city. So like if I want a good margarita, like that's where
the
I'm
spot.
going.
Pilsen.
That's
Is
the
that,
spot.
is that by the stadium? Pilsen? No. I
Which
think it's
stadium?
the
Girl, you got a map.
the baseball stadium or a football stadium.
White Sox. Oh,
White-
it's west. So
oh, it's west. Okay.
It's west. Yeah. So again, it's like everything is pretty. I always say you can get anywhere in Chicago within like 10, 15 minutes. You really
True.
can. And that's one of the reasons why I love it here.
Not
Definitely not the case in LA, but no, next time you go, definitely go there. God, what's the one place? There's like, it's like a margarita barn is the one. And then there's a place where I know one of my girlfriends goes like all the time. And and it's like one of those places where the line is out the door. Like it's just, so that's when I'm
Ooh.
like, you know, it's good, right? Like, you know, they're
Yeah.
doing something right. Oh my God, I'm going to figure it out later on, but
you figure it out. You can comment when we post this. Sometimes people
I will.
go there because sometimes we just talk about stuff. Sometimes we've got some very knowledgeable sources depending on the episode. And sometimes we just like to drink and shoot the shit. So I want to know, on that note, some of your best bar stories. I know that you have been working in a bar for years and you've got some really good ones. You love it. Obviously, I know that you dabbled in sports broadcasting as well. We're big sports fans too. Don't even get Sherry started on Kobe.
I know.
Just like, don't even say it. Being from Chicago with Jordan.
I know, but I'm both fans. I'm both fans.
But I want to know some of your most interesting interactions because I always sit down at a bar and I look at, there's always like the drunk guy or the thirsty girl, and you're like, whoa, I bet this bartender has seen some shit.
Yes. I will say this. So I grew up in a bar. My family owns one of the oldest Irish pubs. It's been in my family since 1938. So I feel like I have a very unique bartending experience because I have that like I've bartended in the like Cheers bar setting, which is like a very different bar setting, right? And then I've worked in downtown Chicago where you deal with a lot of wealthy people who are consider themselves elite business people,
Right.
people who just love to spend money, and I got no problem taking that money. So I will tell you this is like hands down my best story that I have. 2019, I started working at Pizzeria Portofino. So if you guys know who Juliana Rancic is?
Yes, I love her and Bill.
Okay, so their restaurant brand RPM is like a part of the company I worked for almost a decade. And one of their places is called Pizzeria Portofino on the Chicago Riverwalk. It was like the very first to kind of like, make the Riverwalk a thing in Chicago. So my very first day on the job, I get there at 4:00 and there's this girl, her name is, I don't know, but she's in real estate. And pardon me for anyone who's in real estate, but I'm like, okay, so you're a whore. Got it. So
I was going to say, let's give her a name like Becky.
Yeah. Becky, we'll call her Becky. Becky was doing real estate and she was like, oh my God, I'm a regular here. I'm here all the time. And I'm like, we've been open for 2 months. What the fuck you mean you're regular? But I'm like, okay, cool. Becky, nice to meet you. I'm new. And then there is this guy like 4 seats down who is probably in his like mid-60s, short, kind of thinks he's the guy, like, and they're eating and he's doing his damnedest to buy any pretty woman a drink, anyone who's willing to give him the time. He's going around, he's like shooting his shit, he's like on my tab, and I'm like, oh God, here we go. Now Becky is like on the hunt. Becky is looking for someone. I should also add that Becky's probably like early 30s, late 20s. Okay. So now it's the end of the evening and these 2 lovebirds find each other at the end of the bar. And they like, I know when your hands are here. I know what's going on. I'm not fucking stupid. I know exactly what's happening when your hands are underneath the bar. And these 2 are like, hey, can we close out our tab and go sit on the couch? We had a couch outside. And so I was like, just close it out. You'll get a new server, whatever. So now mind you, it's like, everything is open in this place. And I'm looking outside and these people are laying down on the couch, making out, like going at it, like rolling around. And it was like a car accident where I'm like, I can't look away. Like I have to watch this. And then his hand is going up her skirt. And I'm like, so is anyone going to stop this right now? Like, I know we're not like a family restaurant, but like, Jesus Christ, man. So this whole thing is happening. They end up falling asleep. He falls asleep with a chubby little chode boner erected, and I couldn't look away from it. And I literally was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Some ring toss.
I literally I don't even know if it could have fit. It was like this big.
Chub. It's a chub.
Chub toss. And they ended up, finding love for the night, and they went home together. And what my favorite part of that story is Becky is like 6'4" in heels, and good old my 65-year-old man is like no more than a whopping 5'8". And it just was like this like strange encounter. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? But again, I wanted to the one guy I worked with, and I said, Edgar, can I easily say that nothing is going to top that? Like, this is my first official day working here. Nothing's going to top that. And he's like, nothing's going to top that. And nothing has topped that.
Wait, I feel like he had to be like super rich.
Or super
they're both.
Did he have a black car? Because I feel like those girls are like always looking for the black car.
They sniff it out, right?
They can tell.
They can sense. I don't think he had a black card, but I thought he had some kind of really nice American Express, which is a giveaway too. Yeah. But yeah, no, good old Becky. And then she came back maybe like a month later, and I felt
she's
like
a regular.
Because she's a regular, and I felt like Joey Tribbiani, and I was like, how you doing?
Wait, was she still on the hunt? Damn, Becky.
She was back with a new guy. I was like, good for Becky.
The couch hookup is a long-term thing.
I know.
It definitely
couch hookup.
No, it was definitely not a long-term thing, but the gentleman did come back, and he looked like a dog with his tail in between its legs.
Oh, no. Well, is there anything that you've seen on the flip side that has really impressed you, intrigued you, just kind of made you go, wow, in any respect?
Yeah, I think, I'll give you two. My favorite is like the bartending has taught me to never judge a book by its cover, because I had a guy who used to come into my family's bar, and he reminded me of the character from Charlie Brown who's always covered in dirt. Is it Linus? Linus. He reminds me of Linus. Like he was like a guy who like worked on cars, like in a body shop. And so he was just always dirty, right? But he was the nicest guy. Didn't say much, had his old style, had a shot of Jim Beam every time. And the one day I was having like just a really bad day. Like, I don't know what was going on. I was just having a really bad day. And he and I started talking, and this guy just spat out wisdom that like, I was like, I can't believe these words are coming out of your mouth right now. Like, and like, shame on me for like judging you for thinking that like you would never have that. But like, I told him, I was like, I don't know why you came in here tonight, but I need you to know that like, I'm so grateful you did, because I needed to have this conversation with you. And I'm so grateful for you. So like, thank you.
Wow. I like that story.
I like that too. That's all my hippieisms validated.
I know. We love a good universe giving you what you need type of deal.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Yeah. And he was great. And then the other one is, so I work at my family's bar on Thursdays, and for about 8 years now, I have this man, his name is Mo, and Mo is my like 83-year-old best friend. And he comes in and he makes me homemade pizzas and homemade food. And it's so interesting because we're such an unlikely friendship, but it's a friendship that I'm so grateful to have, because like I didn't have like a grandpa growing up. Like they both passed away when I was too young. So like to me, Mo is my grandpa, and I get to learn a lot of his like old school Chicago days stories. And he's this like little Italian man, and it's like a weird dynamic, but we have a friendship that like you wouldn't expect from like a 30-year-old and like an 83-year-old, but we do. So it's I don't know. I think you just never know. I mean, but then there's always the flip side of people are assholes, and that's part of it. But that's why I'm happy that there's a bar here, so I can just like step back and walk away, you know?
Right.
So there's the beauty of that too, is I can walk out of any conversation I don't want to be a part of.
So, you see your good people, you see your bad people, you have some friendships, and you have some total assholes come in. Mm-hmm. If someone came into the bar, how would they win your favor? Because sometimes I go in and I just start shooting the shit with a bartender. And next thing you know, they're just creating things or saying, hey, why, this one's on me, or I poured this over there and it was the wrong wine and she doesn't want it. Do you want it? And that doesn't always happen, but that has happened. So, what kind of makes a bartender prioritize you and want to give you that service?
Looking them in the eyes is one. Little things like looking them in the eyes, like, hey, can you please make me, I'll take this glass of wine. Thank you. Please and thank yous go a long way. Thank you. Our parents taught us to do it. My mom and dad did. And the people who just come in and they are like, bourbon. And I'm like, short pour, double charge. Got it.
See,
so that's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes the best bar experiences I have is like just asking a couple of questions. Like, oh, where are you from? Are you from here? Or like, where are you? And then I feel like that's like an icebreaker. And then they kind of take care of you a little more, or definitely prioritize. But I also feel like sometimes if I'm not in a mood, if I say it, if I'm like, oh, I've had a shitty fucking day.
Transparency. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
And then they either like join the club or like, maybe this will help you out. I'm like, hey, shitty fucking day. Do you want another drink? And I'm like, yes. Get me another fucking drink.
As opposed to just taking it out on this stranger that you don't know.
Right. Because I do agree in, transparency, and the more people know, the better they can treat you sometimes.
Yeah. I think honesty, and I think just realizing too, there's that, like, it's server, not servant. And the people, I mean, like, and again, it's so simple, but like the people who treat me kindly and the people who ask me like, Jen, how you doing today? Like, how are things going? Or like show some type of interest, like there was a guy at my old bar, Daryl, who I ran into the other night, and he's like, I haven't seen you at Portofino. Like, how's the podcast doing? And I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen you to tell you. And he's like, I'm so happy for you. And it's like genuine. So I think there's just this like, it's just having a genuine relationship or a genuine friendship, not necessarily going in expecting things in return, but I'll say the people who take care of me and the people who are just kind to me, those are the people that I want to take care of. Like, those are the people that I'm like, hey, can we send them a dessert? Or like, I'm going to ring up a round of shots for them on us. Is that okay? Because again, it's like, I know they're coming back. I know they're good people. But honestly, like, if I had to give like one piece of advice, it's just like, be kind.
Well, see, that's just like basic. And I always say this, the customer service industry is a two-way street. I used to work in customer service, and a lot of people think customer service is a one-way street. And this
customer's always right.
Right. Or even if you sit down in a restaurant, or if you're at the Gucci store or at Nordstrom's or wherever you shop, Macy's, and you're just like, I need this in a size 4. When I was in college, and I'd be like, well, bitch, I need $1 million. Like, but I didn't just come up to you asking for it. Like, I just think basic humanity skills in any version, even relationship skills, to be kind. I mean, you're talking about interpersonal communication to someone who's giving you a very nice drink. I think you can't go wrong.
Right.
Right.
So if you could post a Jenna's bar rules above the door of either the bar that you're working at, or you make your own bar, what would they be? Can be as many as you want or whatever you want.
Oh my God, I love that question. Okay, I would say rule number 1 would be don't be a jagoff.
Fair.
Don't be a jagoff. And then rule number 2 would be treat others the way you'd want to be treated. And tip your bartender.
That seems easy enough.
Reasonable, but we're talking about people here. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, people can't be trained like animals. I always say.
Sherry doesn't always have the most faith in humanity.
I do not sometimes.
Love it. Okay, well, Jenna Duddleston, thank you so much for joining us. Check out her podcast. It is Bar Talk. If you are already listening to us, then it seems like that should be a pretty natural transition, I would think. Thank you for joining us on Team Tequila Talks. Our guest, Jenna Duddleston, your host, Cassandra Gina Mao, and Sherry Ann Gonzalez. Until next time, friends. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers, ladies.
Left this time.
Me too.
Love it.
Ooh.
I was like, am I going to chug this with like...
Well,
You can. It's allowed.
We're going to make another one for sure.